Good evening, all, and welcome to the first and only Ranger Bowl. I'm your host, Chris, and I'm here today, as always, with my co-commentator.
I'm Bree. Welcome to the game.
Now, Bree, dozens of monsters have been playing for the right to be in our first and probably only Ranger Bowl event. They've struggled for months to get a position in this big game as this Rhinox hide comes out, and boy, what a workhorse this color has been for painting miniatures, hasn't it?
It sure has, Chris.
Man, I'll tell you what, we got some great coverage down the field. It looks like we're playing almost a zone-style defense in painting this model as we go ahead and cover the Rhinoblaster with this Rhinox hide. What do we think the coach is thinking here, Bree?
Well, I really think that he needs to consider how he's best utilizing this paintbrush. This paintbrush, this one right here, been a real workhorse.
Well, the team has been coming close to its salary cap in putting this together, so there was only so much space left on the roster for paintbrushes, but I really do think this paintbrush is giving it 110%, and look at that coverage. Downfield, there's not a hole in there for anybody to shove another color into.
Well, I'm going to say, this might be the final nail in this offense against the Rangers. He's a solid painted color right now. I feel good about this.
You feel good about this?
I feel good about this.
I think the coach probably feels good about it too. And we can see now the coach has shifted and pulled out another brown paint for this objective here. It looks like we've pulled out some Dryad bark from Citadel, and we're dry brushing it on. So it looks like we really want to ground pound this paintbrush to the finish here.
Well, I don't want to throw the coach under the bus, but he really should have shown us what color he was using instead of us having to pull from his lineup.
Well, he's also not stretching his strategy here. We've got brown on brown right now, so it almost looks like he's going with a similar tactic to see what the defense is going to throw up on him as we move forward in this match. The score is still 0-0, and there's a lot of ball left to play, but the Rhinoblaster looks like he's really going to ring the bell of some Rangers as he gets in the field. And oh, look at that! We've got a play action going on. Play action. We started with two browns, and we're shifting into a gray that we're using to highlight these brown armor plates with some light dry brushing. What a move, what a play, what a sportsman we've got on the field today.
You know, that Eshin is the kind of player that can make his teammates better.
Absolutely, especially in dry brush form where it's really only going to get picked up on the edges in small amounts on the miniature and create a shading effect as it grabs onto the tips of the model and really creates some depth into the miniature. That's not a color you would expect as the Agrax Earthshade comes out. Now this has been a reliable member of any team. Anytime you're down or tied or need to make that extra push, you pull out the Agrax Earthshade and you just slather it all over that model.
Yep. You know, really, when a color like Agrax on your team, you can just take each game, one game at a time, and really focus on the looks of these models.
Absolutely. Everything's got to be taken one game at a time, because at the end of the day, whatever team scores the most wins.
You know, I'm going to say this. Ooh, we've got a leather brown. I think now this leather brown is really going to be a take on this one like a ton of bricks. It's going to give it that final good highlight on his skin tone.
Well, it looks like we're calling a bit of special teams play with this leather brown, because this is not going on the armor plating of the Rhinoblaster.
Oh, it looks like we're only doing a specialty paint right there on the tips of his toes.
I would suspect we're going to see the same color going up on the horns, and look at that. We were able to call that from the booth here. Predictable but powerful move by the coach on the Rhinoblaster. An interesting thing about the Rhinoblaster, most people look at the statistics and they say horns are going to be more of an ivory color, but the Rhinoblaster, he breaks that mold. He often has a more brown horn than most of the rest of Rita and Zed's monsters. I wonder why that is, but you know what? It's almost like wildcat formation practically for painting.
There you go.
You don't see it often, but when it works, whoo boy, we're going to run this right down into the end zone.
It's true. This might be just the thing this monster needs to really give him that extra push into the really good-looking models.
Well, you got to make a strong push before you get into the halftime point, and I do believe our halftime show today is going to be played by the Rolling Stones and Avril Lavigne. Who saw that one coming?
Well, it looks like, and we are bringing in a squid pink out of nowhere, just highlighting a true pop of color. Where are we putting this, Chris?
Well, see, this is a true mark of talent, because you're typically going to see your core things, your browns and your grays and your blacks. We pull out a color like a squid pink, that's going to throw off the opposition. They're not going to know what's coming next, as these fleshy bulbs on the Rhinoblaster are going to get this squid pink, as Bree is over here in the booth turning a different shade of pink at the idea of fleshy bulbs.
That is not a phrase I was really hoping for today, Chris.
Well, it looks like it's good to go because I'm not seeing any flags down on the play, so the ref is going to allow this shade of pink to go down on the Rhinoblaster, but I don't think this is going to be enough of a push to score with just this color alone. What do you think they've got up their sleeve for this one?
Well, I'm really expecting to see either a highlight or maybe even a dry brush to really bring some kind of
Well, this coach is nothing
coverage.
but unpredictable, so I'm not sure we're going to see either of those as we move into dead white. It looks like the coach is setting something up.
Going for the eyes.
We're taking the opportunity to throw out that pink to get us on our back heels. So that defense is really on its back heels as we pivot over to a dead white to get the eyes of the Rhinoblaster paint. Because you got to keep those eyes downfield on the receivers, but you never want to watch where the next paint is going to go because that's just going to tell the defense how to block you as we move into Lead Belcher.
This coach is all over the place tonight. I need to know what kind of audibles he's calling.
Well, this coach has got a lot of decisions to make on the field, and it looks like where the game started and he was using one strategy, he is pivoting over and over again to different parts of this model.
He really does seem to be trying to keep the other team on its toes and really just keep them guessing on what he's going to throw out there next.
Well, what are your predictions for the next color and how this is going to turn out and how we're going to finish this sword? Well, I say we've got 3-1 odds that there's going to be a wash coming.
I would say so. Anytime a metallic hits the board there, you're probably going to get a wash to kind of dull it down and really give it that nice solid coverage.
Well, it comes down to the fundamentals, really. You can't go out and start slinging touchdown passes every day. You got to practice the basic stuff, and getting a wash on a metal is absolutely one of those basic techniques that you need to master to get the depth in your miniature.
But I gotta say, this team may need a miracle to pull this one all together. We got pinks, we got just bright metals. This is going to be interesting.
Well, I think we've passed about the halfway point, so I'm sure there was a moment in the locker room where the coach really got in the face of the Rhinoblaster and said, you need to bring this home strong. Because right now, you've got a lot in play, but nothing really coming together as the Abaddon Black comes out. And look at that, we're going for short plays.
We are really just trying to make up yardage going down this team.
So where are we going to go next with this? Oh, this is an unbelievable game. Look at that. We've got our Abaddon Black, and we're completely shifting gears. We've gone from short plays to an absolute fundamental painting the top of that base, that Abaddon Black, to give it that same sheen as the rest of the miniatures. I've heard rumors that some of the fans want this coach to go back to the overall team and add some additional basing to these miniatures, and we don't know if that's going to happen. I think the main goal is to get the team rebuilt for next season before we worry about something like that.
Well, and there's always that issue of...
Whoa, we've got a shade on the play, shade on the play. We've pulled out some of our star players and brought in this one, this dark horse of a player you don't see very often in the form of Carroburg Crimson. Bree, you had predicted a highlight or a shade going on these fleshy bulbs, and we've got a wash going on it. A Carroburg Crimson red wash going over this pink. What could the coach be thinking?
The coach is really going for some crazy moves this turn. I gotta wonder, is this going to work out the way he wants it to?
Well, if I had to guess, this Carroburg Crimson is not meant to be a final push. I'm willing to bet this coach is trying to get some additional depth down to where those armor plates meet these fleshy bulbs. I don't even know what to call these things. These are horrific.
They really are. This is not a great... model here.
This is like a kid's birthday balloon party. He put on armor plates and started beating people up.
Pretty much. Now, the interesting part about something like the Rhinoblaster is really you'd be expecting to have something that blasts. We just don't see it with this player.
We absolutely see it with this player. He's got that lightning that blasts out of his horn as the Adgrexer comes out again. We brought this player back out on the field, and there we go. As predicted, we're putting this on the metal. This is a very, very safe play that's guaranteed to get us some points on this miniature before the time we're done.
Definitely giving depths. I will say it, as we've said before, this truly is one of the workhorses of a good painting scheme.
Well, I think this is also going to be about the last play of the third quarter. As we go into our final quarter of play here, we need to see if we can bring it on home. This is a close game, but we're shaping up really well if we can do a couple more things right. And the squid pink has come back and is going over the washed bulbs. Yes, this is exactly what the coach was going for. Get that Carroburg Crimson in there to run down into the recesses to kind of create a little bit of depth in these fleshy bulbs.
Oh, we really need to work, Chris, on getting another term for those bulby parts.
Well, while this play is working out, this is a good opportunity to remind you, this video is sponsored by Aflac. Aflac does insurance probably, and we're not sponsored by them at all, so we probably shouldn't do something like make fun of the duck's voice.
Quack, quack.
Aflac. And we're back.
Ooh, fleshy bulb. Fleshy bulb.
We're continuing steadily down the field with this squid pink here as we are looking for new sponsors and possibly hiring lawyers to protect us from Aflac after commenting on them. And I think when Rhinoblaster's done here, it looks like this game might be in the bag. I think he's going to win this one. I'm willing to bet that his next stop is going to be to a Tim Hortons.
I don't know about that, Chris. We're going to have to see how he wraps this all together. Oh, and we have a Nuln Oil coming in. Where are we putting this?
I think, and we've got our Ember Orange. We brought all our special teams out on the field. I think at this point, we're just getting ready to polish off this game with the last couple points on the board. If I had to guess that Nuln Oil, yep, that's exactly what I was thinking. It's got to go on the sword to add an additional layer of depth to that model. The interesting thing is when you do a layer of a dark silver followed by an Agrax and a Nuln Oil, you get the look of a blade that is not rusty, but it's definitely worn. So he didn't just pull this off a shelf for the first time. This Rhinoblaster's been using this against Rangers all over the known galaxy.
That really is a solid play for him.
And now we've made our final score on the Rhinoblaster himself. It's time to bring out the special teams and get that last point through the buzzer. We're going to finish off this model by painting this base Ember Orange. He's going to tie in with the rest of the monsters on the team, and that's the most important thing. When you bring a team to the table that's nice and uniform, they work better as a unit, and they feel like they're one.
Yep. You know, it really is. When you're looking for that good, solid coverage, that team that can really build it, you want a universal connecting color.
And we finish it off. Rhinoblaster wins the first Ranger Bowl. Like and subscribe for more comments, hit the bell button for notification. We will see you next time.
Happy Sports Ball Day!
Next up, a brand new episode of How I Met Your Father.